Cool. All right, let's get started. It's nice to see such an intimate, small audience that we can have questions with. I think we'll try and change the format a little bit today. I know Clifton, Josh, and David have been sort of trying to produce the Epoch review content prior to the actual AMA that we're hosting today. And I know we've reformatted it into a presentation that's gone out on Twitter and on YouTube. So hopefully a few people have managed to have a look at that. We thought we'd try out a different way. Obviously, historically what we've done is we've just talked through the Epoch review metrics at the start of this AMA and then got into the kind of pre-populated questions that we've had and then opened the floor for anyone's questions. But thought we'd try and change it. Open to your feedback, how you felt the change system is. Have a look through the presentation and the video and let us know your thoughts there. But again, open to continually changing that and making it more interactive for everyone to have a look through and I guess take the information in. So how we'll do today is instead of reading through everything metrics related, I think we'll go straight into the pre-populated questions that I've taken from some people on Discord, Twitter, and the ambassadors. And then what we'll do, I think after that we can go straight into the AMA and having kind of an extended period of time for, I guess, more intimate questions that you can ask, and we can kind of razz on in the audience here. So, David, if you're ready, let's start with you. We'll start with the first pre-populated question, which was, with V4 being announced from the dYdX trading team, how has this impacted the foundation's goals?
That's a great question. So obviously, over the course of last Epoch, the dYdX trading team announced their plans to launch version 4 of the protocol. For those who haven't read the blog post, the TLDR is that dYdX v4 will be developed as a standalone blockchain based on the Cosmos SDK and Tendermint proof-of-stake consensus protocol. V4 will feature a fully decentralized off-chain order book and matching engine capable of scaling orders of magnitude more throughput than any other blockchain can support. The dYdX trading team, which is mostly comprised of engineers, have been building this over the course of the last few months, and certainly have been scoping this out for much longer than that. Overall, I think the news certainly made a lot of headlines across the industry. Generally, from my personal standpoint, the news was generally well received, and I encourage everyone to read through the blog post that the dYdX trading team published, which gives a lot more details around the implementation and the reasoning behind this decision. Ultimately, how that impacts the foundation's goals. I think generally speaking, it doesn't have kind of an immediate impact on our goals. The foundation at this point is an independent organization from dYdX Trading. We were established a year ago, or a little more than a year ago, and really our vision was and continues to be to foster community-led growth, development, and self-sustainability over the dYdX protocol, whether that be the current version or the future version. In that light, our goal really has been to accelerate the progressive shift of the protocol to community governance and decentralization, with a continued focus on censorship resistance, trust minimization, security, and reliability. And I think overall, this announcement of dYdX v4 is very much aligned with that vision and mission. Ultimately, if you look at the history of the dYdX protocols, maybe just to give a little context to everyone, dYdX trading was founded over 4 years ago now by Antonio Giuliano, who is obviously an early engineer at Coinbase, In the first few years of their existence, they really focused on building different types of products to try to find product market fit. And so in the early days, dYdX Trading developed three unique protocols and in a lot of ways achieved product market fit, proving that margin trading and spot trading and flash loans and atomic swaps could happen on layer one, as well as perpetuals trading on layer one. In the last 2 years or so, the trading team has been focused on scaling non-custodial trading. And so really, the dYdX trading team was one of the first teams to really make the decision to move to layer two, and using Starkware and ZK rollups to scale perpetuals trading. That product has seen over $600 billion in volume in 12 months time. And so really, I think demonstrating a strong track record of seeing how the technology landscape evolves and then not being afraid to take risks and building as the tech improves exponentially. And then since last year with the launch of the dYdX Foundation and the launch of the dYdX token, really our goal has been to bootstrap community governance and commence this process of progressive decentralization. And so I think, we recently hit our 1-year milestone and shared some stats on Twitter about some of the achievements that we as a community have achieved and certain activities that the foundation has been active with. I think overall we have progressively decentralized the community and handed dYdX tokens to over 50,000 unique wallets who have all participated in various decisions that have affected the protocol at large. And then I think mostly, and what gets me really excited is at the end of this year, obviously V4 will launch. And I think that really marks, a new inflection point for our community that really enables full decentralization and community control over the dYdX protocol. And so I think, again, if you read the blog post, dYdX V4 will have no central components. The community will have full control over all aspects of the protocol that can be controlled. The dYdX DAO, which obviously is still somewhat of a nebulous concept for a lot of people, will have a much more active role not only in the governance contracts but on the product side of things, as anyone can build on top or around dYdX V4. No central party, and so that includes dYdX Trading. Will have the ability to receive trading fees on dYdX V4. And then lastly, the current version of the protocol dYdX V3 will eventually be deprecated after the migration. And so to me, the V4 announcement is extremely encouraging and very much aligned with the foundation's original mandate and vision, which was progressive decentralization and supporting that transition to community control. And so overall, I don't think this has materially impacted the foundation's goals. If anything, it really makes our mandate clearer with a clear milestone that the whole community can focus on and execute against.
That makes sense. Thanks, David. And I think next question has come from the community as well, and this might be specifically relevant to the governance boroughs members that are in here today. Just can we touch on kind of like governance changes come V4 and the knowledge that we have so far?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Obviously, the dYdX trading team has been kind of heads down building V4. Right now, my understanding is their focus has been on actually building, the exchange part of V4, and I think there's still a lot of open questions around, the governance contracts, whether those ultimately get moved to Cosmos as well, subject to dYdX token holders' decision and vote. I think most importantly, if you read through the blog post from dYdX Trading, they make the case that the version 4 of the protocol will need a layer 1 governance token. And even though the dYdX token is currently based on the Ethereum blockchain, it does appear that the dYdX token would be a natural fit for staking to validators within kind of the V4 ecosystem. I think in terms of what this means, there's a world where the dYdX token, should token holders vote and approve this, could be bridged to Cosmos and used as the layer 1 token as part of V4, and used for governance and staking to validators more broadly. So, what that means for the existing governance contracts, I think is very much TBD. I certainly encourage the community to kickstart that discussion around the role of dYdX tokens within the V4 ecosystem. So that's kind of point number one. I think point number two is, again, for those who have looked at kind of the history of governance contracts, certainly on Ethereum, I think there's been kind of a various cycles of governance contracts, right? So I think clearly there was some governance activity and some governance with Uniswap. I think Compound Alpha was extremely innovative, and then Compound Bravo iterated and improved on Alpha. And in a lot of ways, Compound Bravo became kind of the standard governance across many protocols out there, supporting things like delegation of tokens to other people. And then, Aave forked Compound Governance and then made some changes. And then we forked Aave's governance contracts and also made some changes that we thought were additive to governance overall. I think from my perspective, there's certainly been a lot of lessons learned around governance. What works, what doesn't, how do you weigh getting buy-in and having kind of community consensus around decision making, while also making sure that a fully decentralized community can make decisions effectively. Again, the community already has control over making any changes to the existing governance contracts, and certainly from my perspective, there's room for improvement. So, as part of this transition to V4, at some point I expect there to be the next version of governance within the dYdX ecosystem as well, really leveraging all of the lessons learned that the community has come to over the last 12 to 18 months, and really trying to then build a better product around governance that helps drive that forwards. So maybe just to recap again, what changes to governance will happen come V4. I think that's still largely an open question from my standpoint. I do think the community has to have kind of a debate and discussion around using the existing dYdX token as part of V4. Should they decide to actually approve that, the next question then is, how does the migration happen, and what changes to governance should occur to make sure that governance can be as effective in kind of the V4 context as well.
Awesome. Thanks, David. And then moving on to kind of a few Commonwealth posts then touching on governance. So I know there was a post last week about the DAO values. Can you touch on why you feel it's important for the community to spend time reviewing these?
I can jump in there. So if you guys had a chance to check out on Commonwealth, there's a DRC up right now. Basically, just explains that dYdX, Antonio, the CEO and founder of dYdX Trading, shared dYdX company values in the middle of June. And last Friday, the dYdX Foundation, publicly announced on their blog that they would be adopting the same values just to better align the two, the foundation and trading, the two entities, to make sure that they're kind of on the same page. And really, the DRC post on Commonwealth was an open to start a discussion, and basically like an open call for comments from the dYdX community to start brainstorming and thinking about what values we as a dYdX community value, and whether the dYdX company value should be adopted across the entire ecosystem. Totally up to the community about whether the values will be iterated on and added to, or if the community feels that they are broad enough and in depth enough in their current form to be adopted across the dYdX ecosystem. But I think if you take a step back and just think about kind of what's going on, so you have dYdX trading involved very much on the product side, the foundation, who is heavily involved in governance, ensuring the self-sustainability of the protocol. And then as we're building out, things like the ambassador program, the grants program, sub-DAO groups, working functional groups, we have, there's so many different moving parts and contributors coming in. And I really see these values as, a guidepost for individual contributors to the dYdX ecosystem to fall back on in the event that they're struggling to make decisions, or if they're looking for guidance in terms of what decision to take when discussing with other people in the dYdX ecosystem. So I think everything kind of stems from just getting better aligned between the core contributing members of the dYdX ecosystem, be it again through ambassador program, grants program, delegation. I think it's just really important for execution purposes to making sure that we're all kind of, moving in sync to achieving the respective goals of the different entities. I mean, dYdX trading, very focused on being the world's, leading decentralized, the world's leading crypto exchange, not decentralized exchange, but leading crypto exchange. Whereas the foundation is focused on, building best-in-class governance and ensuring, community-led growth and self-sustainability. The DAO, assisting with both of those things, and will eventually develop its own specific goals and missions to bring about, better feedback for the ecosystem in terms of becoming, the best, decentralized workforce to contribute to, developing best-in-class governance and developing the world's leading crypto exchange. So I think super, super great if everybody could review and give feedback on that post. Just in terms of next steps, once there's been kind of adequate community discussion and there's been pretty good consensus, the values of the dYdX ecosystem, or whatever values the community decides on, will eventually need to be ratified by a snapshot vote. And that's subject just to the minimum requirements for binding snapshot votes, which you can find the details of posted on Commonwealth as well.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Josh. That was great. Okay, next question. I mean, this was to do with the ambassador program, so I can touch on this. So it's a bit of talking through season 1 updates. So I think, just to recap, the ambassador program has been going now for about 10 weeks, all in all, from season 0 to halfway through season 1 nearly. I think the quality of work and the contributions have been amazing. I think the community have seen through Commonwealth what they've been working on. I'll just provide a little bit of a recap on some of the things that the boroughs are working on. So these, what I'll go through now is pretty much in addition to a lot of the things they're helping out at the foundation also. So they're providing significant support to a number of initiatives that we're running in addition to the work that they're doing. So just to touch on what the analytics borough is working on. So they're doing multiple analytics dashboards. They'll hopefully be ready by, I think, over the next couple of weeks. And if you're interested in that, then by all means reach out on Discord and or Commonwealth. There's going to be dashboards on governance, dashboards on hedges, dashboards on the token, and they're working on sort of trivia cards for Commonwealth and Twitter backgrounds, etc., to match voting in tokens. The governance borough, so they've been working on DRCs for like hedges Lens protocol collab, and we'll hopefully have more information coming soon on that. I know Andy, who's part of the governance borough, has been in conversations with myself and the Lens protocol team. They'll hopefully get Lens handles for the hedges as well as dYdX token holders, which will be exciting. They're launching Meet the Delegate series, which is something I believe will be extremely impactful within the ecosystem, so really excited about that. They've worked on a number of onboarding and proposal syntheses and provided frameworks for forum growth strategy. So really impactful measures there, and excited to see what they come up with over the next few weeks and into season 2. The media borough, so this borough has been working very closely with the foundation, very much helping with streamlining Epoch reviews like we're doing now, production of video content, helping us with affiliate docs. They've been creating a broad media template strategy and repurposing existing content, and then definitely thinking about translating bounties into several languages. And it's something that, shout out NT Inc., who's been kind of spearheading the transition over to Wonder. The risk borough, so they're doing risk reports, which is great, and they're posted on Commonwealth also. They're looking at different collateral options, so there are a lot of threads and discussions that are going out behind that. They're looking at maker volume rewards for each market, and they've launched a community program that they've received over 10 submissions for, which is like an asset explorer program and market commentary. So if you believe that you've got the skills and you can provide those types of commentaries, then by all means check out the bounty section on Discord and reach out to Oxy-chan about that. The student borough currently is compiling a database of university crypto and blockchain clubs to help us establish contacts for delegation. They've been having calls with multiple stakeholders at university level to introduce dYdX and the idea of them becoming delegates. So really excited about that. And they're also going to create an educational video to kind of outline and explain how to get set up on Commonwealth and complete your kind of delegate application form. And then finally, the user onboarding and education borough. So they're the ones who have really been spearheading the dYdX Academy site. So they've brought in existing multilingual resources from country heads and community managers to bolster the experience for international traders. They've hosted the dYdXacademy.info and dYdXDAO.info page, which is a great resource for everyone to check out all things dYdX ecosystem. They're launching a Thinkific course with the goal of creating a real comprehensive education content to define dYdX specifically. And again, they're working on bounties, translations, and accessibility for international community members. So overall, really excited about the impact that they're having. They're a great group, work really well together. And I'm sure if you haven't checked out on Commonwealth, there's some discussions now with regards to sort of changing a little bit of the structure. So if you're interested in everything that's going on with the program, definitely check that out. Reach out to the ambassadors and see how you guys can collab. Cool. Okay, moving on to the next question. For anyone up on this stage, when are certain DAO working groups going to be started, and has there been any discussion around what that initial group may be?
Yeah, James, I'm happy to take this one. So, again, I think from just taking a step back, right? Like different communities have different concepts or ideas around DAOs. I think, this is my personal kind of opinion. But in a lot of ways, when I look at kind of the DAO landscape out there, generally speaking, like I don't think I can point to a single individual DAO that has completely nailed what it means to be a successful DAO. I think in a lot of ways, a lot of DAOs out there are not super efficient, don't result in a ton of productive output, underspend kind of the community treasuries, or really have nailed the exact, best-in-class DAO playbook. I certainly think, I take inspiration from other DAOs. Some things work, some things don't, but I still think we're kind of in the early innings of what it means to be a DAO, and really kind of, what's the right number of working groups, what works, what doesn't. I think with that said, we've certainly run a number of experiments, or the community has run a number of experiments over the last year. So certainly, the establishment of the Guernsey Trust to support the dYdX grants program, I think is a step in kind of the DAO direction, and really providing a legal wrapper for a DAO or a sub-DAO within the dYdX ecosystem to fund community participants. So I think that's experiment number one. I think experiment number two is really around the ambassador program. And so again, as James provided an update on the 6 different boroughs, I think in a lot of ways, those are kind of the early innings of, functional areas that the community can gravitate around. And, the objective there, hopefully at some point, is for each of those boroughs to really be self-sustaining and potentially their own sub-DAO. So that's kind of point number two. I would say, like with V4, again, coming in about at the end of this year, and where the community will actually have much more functional control over, the product, and have the ability to build, much more on top and around, should it choose the underlying protocol. I think the responsibility and the amount of impact that, a decentralized community can have around the overall ecosystem will be significantly higher. And so, ultimately I encourage, I think tactically what that means is the next 6 months, the community should continue to discuss best practices and learn and iterate, and the thinking around what does it mean to be a best-in-class DAO that has full control over the leading crypto trading platform out there, and continue to learn and iterate and build tooling around. So I think there's a lot of lessons learned with the existing infrastructure that the community currently has, and certainly looking forward to working with the community to narrow down the scope here and really focus on execution. The last thing that I'll say is, again, I started off answering this questions with just a broad statement that I don't think any DAO has been kind of a wild success up until now. My personal perspective is, again, I think in some capacity, DAOs need to still figure out how to move a lot faster from a decision-making standpoint, and really focus on output. In some ways, they need to be able to compete with companies and corporations while still leveraging, the inherent benefits of transparency and a decentralized kind of community base to make decisions. And so I guess my ask for the community is really to think about, given some of the limitations with the infrastructure that exists today, how do we make sure that a DAO can run as efficiently as possible, and really challenge everyone to think about that and to discuss and execute that over the next few months.
Awesome. Thanks, David. So last couple of questions then. This might be one for you, Josh or Cliff. How does the foundation plan to increase the number of established community members becoming endorsed delegates?
Yeah, for sure. Happy to jump in. I guess I'll preface this by, I guess, just stating, like, in my opinion, the way that I kind of view, like, the endorsed delegates program is, like, I would way rather have fewer high quality delegates than more like mediocre delegates. Just, I think, based on the contributions that we've seen thus far, the delegates that have really excelled are the ones that I think, this question touches on a little bit, but it's that, like, that established community member who is engaged in governance and very much has a stake in dYdX and the dYdX community. So I think just like taking a step back, anything that we can do to increase the amount of high quality contributors that get involved with the dYdX protocol, whether that is through the grants program, the ambassador program, or any other means, I think you've seen like great stickiness from those programs in terms of people converting from the ambassador program, the grants program, or just being general members of the community and then wanting to get more involved in governance. But yeah, definitely something that we think about constantly, and shout out to MX. I remember when he first onboarded, we had a conversation just about the need to have more active representation from, the community that is traders on dYdX. And it's something still to this day that I think we could benefit from is always having just like more active community members who use the product and are involved with the product, have a direct stake in how the product is going to transform and really bringing that unique perspective. So I would encourage kind of anybody listening to consider, onboarding, just to remind everybody, like the foundation is not like gatekeeping who onboards. It's really meant just to provide other dYdX community members with the information to make an educated, informed decision about who they're going to delegate proposing power and or voting power to. To answer, I guess, the specific question, because I've been dancing around it for a while now, but just in terms of how we plan to like increase the number of delegates, Cliff has been a huge value add to the foundation just in terms of like data analytics skills. And I think one of the things that we're looking at now is just like looking at all of the addresses that are currently delegating tokens and how we can not convince, but I guess just encourage those dYdX community members to onboard, as well as, having conversations with the most active community members who are, contributing in the Discord, on Commonwealth, on Twitter, and encouraging them to get more involved with governance, because, I think delegation is a very, very important part of dYdX governance, and definitely a lot of room to make meaningful contributions there from individual community members.
Yeah, I would also add, like, if you look at the actual data, like endorsed delegates have played an increasingly important role in voting for ERCs and DIPs. They've been generally very proactive on Commonwealth and sharing their thoughts around various proposals. And so I guess I echo Josh's comment that, getting voting and or proposal power into, community delegates that really are spending the time to engage is, I think, a really important initiative and something that we should continue to foster. I think from a product experience, quite frankly, like delegation is still pretty clunky, or there's certainly room for improvement to be able to like create transparency around that. I know there's a number of kind of third-party tools out there to try to make delegation and data around delegation more transparent. I think dYdX is currently supported on a platform called Boardroom that does show kind of delegate information and kind of past voting history, etc. But I would say, like, if anyone in the community has ideas around how to build a better product experience or is interested in applying to the grants program and really build a better front end to support delegation more broadly, I would certainly encourage anyone in the community to think about that and drive that forward.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Thanks, Josh. Cool. All right, that's all the pre-populated questions. I will just say that there is a AMA on Wednesday. I think it's 12 p.m. Pacific time. Antonio is hosting an AMA on Twitter Spaces specifically for V4. I have put the tweet up in the Discord events section, so people can click on that. And make sure you RSVP to that. I think it'll be a great Spaces event where you can actually put your hand up and ask questions for everything specific to V4. I guess what we can do now, we'll open up the floor to anyone who wants to ask any questions from a foundation standpoint, or anything that we've just touched on, or anything like Epoch related data wise. So if anyone wants to come up on the stage, by all means, raise your hand at the bottom of the screen and we'll bring you up.
So do you plan to integrate not only with the Cosmos Network, but also with others? I mean, the first one is Cosmos Network, and you maybe in future you plan to maybe interact with others network. So.
Yeah, in all honesty, I'm unsure. I think that's probably a great question to ask the V4 team on the Twitter Spaces on Wednesday and address that to them. But from a foundation side of things, we're really unaware of that and probably not well equipped to answer in all honesty.
Hello.
Hey, Mo.
Hi. I have a question regarding isolated margin. Is that ever going to come on V3, or is that being pushed towards V4? Thanks.
Yeah, I'm happy to take this one. Right now, V3 is really just focused on cross margining. There is the ability to take kind of isolated positions, but you have to have, set up a unique wallet to trade on dYdX and kind of ring fence kind of each position to each account to make that work. At this time, the dYdX trading team, really is kind of all hands on deck, focused on launching V4 later this year, while maintaining, V3 with just a few incremental improvements. So things like reduce only, as well as other kind of higher impact product decisions that have been kind of recurring from the community. I don't see them, frankly, focusing on isolated margin, though it has been kind of a popular feature request for a long time. Having said that, V4 again is a protocol that is being designed to be able to support different types of products, and so I think being able to support isolated margin, multi-collateral, perpetuals, spot, futures, etc. I think there's just a lot more kind of design space that will be available once V4 launches.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mo. Just a quick one before I bring anyone else on the stage. There is a POAP for this Epoch review. If you head into Hedgie's general channel, and the secret word is foundation, I've posted the secret word in there. Alucard's created the form, so if anyone wants to get their POAP, head into the Hedgie's general channel now and claim your POAP. It will be open probably until the end of this AMA, so be quick and claim your POAP.
I want to ask about the ambassador program.
Sure, go ahead.
when you guys will be added. For example, Nikolai, Arturka, Ruslan, and so on.
In terms of adding new ambassadors, I think for the time being, with the grants proposal that is still awaiting. Obviously, there's been a reduced amount of funding there. So right now, I think currently we're bringing on new ambassadors as a on hold. That may change over a period of time. Hopefully, it will change if we get some more funding there. So it's TBD really. So yeah, keep an eye out. It will definitely be posted once we start to reopen and bring more people on. But right now, it's just on hold. Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you.
Yeah. How are you? Yeah. I was gonna ask about when you pass to V4, what's gonna happen with the hedges? Like currently we have like trading rewards. Well, not rewards, but trading. We have less fees and all that.
XO7, just a heads up. You're on mute if you're trying to talk.
Oh, I can hear him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't hear anything, man.
Carry on, AX. It's all good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it showed a notification saying that I had to press a button, but I don't know which button that I have to press.
Cool. I mean, I guess it's just a question about the hedges, is it?
Yeah, it's about the hedges and V4. I know I've seen on Discord that once you launch in V4, we're not going to need like a Cosmos wallet or anything like that. So it's like going to be like Starkware, where we just do the bridge on site on dYdX and just trade as usual. So is the hedges going to still going to be functioning the same way it's doing it right now, or is it going to change and we have to do like some sort of a bridge to Cosmos?
Yeah, I mean, I could probably assume that there will need to be some form of bridge in a sense. I definitely think the hedgy functionality will remain, but I definitely I don't know this is complete gospel per se from the trading team, but I'd assume that you'd need a bridge to keep the functionality. I don't know if you've got anything else to say, David.
Yeah, honestly, I think this is a good question for the Twitter spaces with Antonio on like the technical implementation. Like the reality, from my standpoint is, should the community of dYdX token holders vote for V4 to recognize, hedges functionality within the Cosmos ecosystem and provide, trading fee discounts or any other benefit, really it'll be up to the community of dYdX token holders to make that decision. And then the implementation, again, at that point, really any team will be able to build kind of that tooling to be able to implement that decision. So I know that's, I think it's a question you should raise on the Twitter spaces for Antonio, but from my perspective, it's certainly possible and up to token holders and the community at large.
Yeah, perfect. And another question is that I've seen on the Commonwealth Forum, there's a lot of discussion about the VE tokenomics for the new dYdX tokenomics. And also there was a lot of discussion on Discord about the revenues. Could you say anything about that?
Yeah, again, I'm happy to take this one. What I think my comments from earlier kind of still stand, where from a token economics standpoint or restructuring of any kind of governance contracts, that's really up to token holders to make a proposal and recommend changes. Clearly, I think it'll be maybe a little more impactful to wait until more details around the V4 implementation are released to really fully understand kind of the scope of the product. But what has been showed publicly by the dYdX trading team is that no centralized entity, including dYdX trading, will have the ability to collect fees from the protocol. And so ultimately, all of those decisions will be in the hands of token holders, and really, token holders and the community at large will have kind of full control over all aspects of the protocol.
Yeah, I see. So the token holders will decide if the revenues, like the trading fees and whatever, stays into like the token holders or the staking token holders, or to the treasury and all the rest. And we can vote for all that if it's like a 50-50 or whatever, percentage. Yeah.
Yeah, again, it'll be up to the community to come up with a proposal around whether or not to charge fees, and ultimately how those fees are then distributed within various stakeholders and participants within the ecosystem.
Yeah, fantastic. Perfect. Thank you for that.
Thanks. Cheers for the questions. Mo, welcome on stage.
Good morning. So, quick question in regards to the foundation. David, it's directed to you really. Do you have any metrics in your mind which would make you think the Burrows is successful experiment over, say, 6 months to 12 month period, or do you not have any set in stone at the moment? If you do, I'd just be curious to know what metrics are you looking at to see if the Burrows is a value add to the dYdX protocol. Thanks.
Thanks, Mo. I think this is a great question. James, feel free to jump in as well with your thoughts. But from my standpoint, again, I made the comment earlier, but I think, I spend a lot of time thinking about how do we measure success and OKRs for the community, and kind of decentralized decision making at scale. And ultimately, right now, the only real metric that I think certainly Pradine cares about, and I think the community really should be focused on, is like growth-related metrics, right? It's how many users, how much volume is generated, and how many active traders that are organic traders are part of the dYdX ecosystem. And so for me, it's really around looking at kind of the actual output of these working groups and how do they contribute to projects that actually have usage and drive user or volume growth to the dYdX protocol at large. And I think, for some burrows, like the user onboarding burrow or the education burrow, right? Those two, it's maybe a little more like easier to look at kind of those quantitative outputs. And you can look at page views for the dYdX Academy website, or you can look at referrals, et cetera, to really measure success. I think for other burrows like the risk analysis burrow, it's maybe a different set of OKRs or kind of success metrics to really demonstrate value. Ultimately, I think the guiding principle is like, are people focused in building tools that, active users, active traders of the protocol find valuable? Are people building tools that facilitate decision-making, that get buy-in, that provide transparency around what's going on in the ecosystem? And are people then using kind of those tools to make actionable decisions that result in the protocol moving forward? I would say there's like certainly quantitative OKRs and then kind of more subjective and qualitative OKRs. I think the last piece that I'll mention again is, at least with V3, a big focus, for me has been to really identify and work with high potential long-term contributors and really find a place for those contributors within the dYdX ecosystem at large and really empower community members to take ownership of things and run with it. And, with the ambassador program, I think there were, over 2,000 applicants, and we ended up selecting, 17 to really kickstart the program and test different things out. And so, I think for me, it's also about the ability to attract and retain just outstanding talent and really keep them within kind of the dYdX ecosystem and family. When there's a lot of competing DAOs or opportunities out there, it's how do we really channel a lot of the enthusiasm that exists and make sure that people are working on kind of the most impactful things that help drive the protocol forward. James, I don't know if you have kind of other OKRs or metrics that you would look at.
Yeah, I think I think those are obviously the sort of high level overall goals of kind of growth and exposure to the industry and kind of ecosystem at large. I think from like a season 0, season 1 perspective, there are sort of deliverables per se and expectations that from a more granular standpoint where, let's say, the governance bureau are trying to sort of like do, I don't know, like comment or vote on chain on 75% of proposals, or create 2 DRCs and be involved with different collaborations, etc. And as the kind of seasons progress, really the boroughs are encouraged to, I guess, create their own goals of what they're really trying to achieve, and on trying to be as almost decentralized as possible, allowing them to have the decision to create different tasks and projects to contribute to that overall growth, but really echoing what David said, and then trying to be more granular at what the, I guess, boroughs have their own specific targets and goals for.
Okay, that's great. That makes sense. So essentially, they have targets and it's maintaining them. Like my main observation is that for anything to be established, it takes time to form those foundations. So it gets that visibility. So the ambassador program is quite new. So trading, for example, have launched a marketing campaign. So how do you determine whether it's because of the campaigns done by the boroughs that's onboarding users in a particular epoch, or it's due to Trading Inc. launching a particular marketing campaign? So how do you differentiate the confounding factors influencing basically the metrics that we're measuring for these boroughs essentially?
Yeah, it's a great point, and in all honesty, it's very difficult. I think that's naturally a struggle where everyone's contributing to growth, and to determine whether it's like market factors, whether it's campaign factors, whether it's certain other exchanges like locking funds, whether it's someone closing down perpetuals, and how that impacts new users coming into the ecosystem. I think it's very difficult to differentiate that, but it's something where I guess we are aware of, and trying to just trying to be as, I guess, narrow as we possibly can with launching when we're launching, and having I guess using that as a factor really.
Okay, that makes sense. The main reason I was asking was because if the data is being collected, I'd be quite interested to like make a research paper out of it at the end of it. I think, like David said, there's very hard evidence out there what DAO model works. So whatever yourself and David and the rest of the foundation team have implemented and it shows good outcomes, I think we should try and share that with the wider Web3 community to show that this is a model that works and this should be implemented across other protocols that are trying to emulate. So that's why I was asking these questions, but thank you for the answers.
Thanks, Mo. Appreciate it. Cool. All right. Well, we just...
Yeah, Mo...
sorry. Go on, David.
Sorry, last comment I'll make on that is, like, I think generally speaking, one of the values that we've publicly shared, right, is decentralizing through transparency, and hopefully, the community here, can recognize the fact that, the foundation team and the trading team generally does try to share a lot of data and lessons learned and really builds kind of in public and share as much information as we can, and be transparent about that. And certainly, whether it's open sourcing, the trust in Guernseys for DAOs or other initiatives that we've focused on, I think sharing lessons learned and best practices with the broader Web3 ecosystem is something that we should continue to do. So, for any grantee, for any ambassador, for any community contributor, I want to continue to encourage everyone to be transparent, to share reports, to share lessons learned, and really view this as a collective learning experience where we're all learning and together and trying to come up with kind of the optimal outcome in a transparent manner.
Cool. Thanks, David. Thanks for all the questions, everyone. I know we've just hit time, so we'll have to close it off there. But post any remaining questions in the Epoch review channel, and we'll try and answer them there. What we'll do, I'll send this off to be deciphered, and then hopefully we can post this off onto YouTube, and then we can share that within the Discord channel. Cool. All right. Well, look, close it off there. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you in the next Epoch review.